I said I'd do it myself, and I'm gonna do it myself.
What's up, you? The good news. I think you video I can only describe was hauntingly beautiful.
Immercenary is a first-person thing. Wiki calls it an RPG, but I can't think of anything that constitutes any traditional elements of a role-playing game. Unless you want to claim that playing a role constitutes an RPG, then 99% of games would qualify for that. There are three main stats that you have: defense, offense, and agility, acromized as DOA, and a multitude of pickups to arm yourself with. But that's about the extent of anything RPG to be found here. Where was I? Immercenary is a first-person, battle royale, MMORPG roguelike experimentation of a video game, developed by 5 Miles Out, published by and released in March of 1995, 3 years before 1998, when Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell and plummeted 16 feet through an announcer's table. God damn you, shitty morph. Side note, if there is a hell, I'm going there. No, not from the various thousands of sins I've committed over the years, but because I once offered my soul to the devil to rent the 3DO. Let me explain. My dad hated video games back in the day, and I think he still does. It's single-handedly responsible for any and all ailments that I have suffered, and it's something he genuinely despised to listening to in particular. As part of good parenting, and probably a wise choice in retrospect, I was only allowed to play video games on the weekends for many, many years. We had a local place that we would rent our games and had a lot of go-tos, like Street Fighter II on the SNES, but that store lacked a lot of the new titles that would drop. For that, we had to trek all the way across town to the big store with the big games. And would you believe this small town grocery store had a freaking Panasonic 3DO for rent? Yes, for the low cost of $20 in 1995 monies, I was able to rent one of the most amazing things in my life back then. No, not winning a baseball championship, a karate tournament, or anything else worthwhile. Renting this console, hooking it up to the TV and seeing graphics in full screen FMV was the absolute shit back then. Everyone knows the story with this console, and everyone makes fun of how terrible a console it was, and rightfully so, as this beast was ludicrously priced and had next to nothing for a game selection. But for a tiny window in history, this thing was the future of gaming. Being an incredibly introverted little shit, I spied on Immercenary on that shelf on a Thursday afternoon. Having saved up a few bucks to afford a game and to rent the console for the weekend, I only had one thing blocking me from having the best weekend ever: having someone else renting the console before I could. And on that fateful bike ride across town, I murmured to myself,
Satan, if you're out there, I offer my soul to you if this console is available.
3DO from Panasonic Gold Star and Creative Labs. Now $3.99 plus free games.
Yeah. Anyway, the console was in along with Immercenary, and now I'm doomed to eternal punishment in a lake of fire or some shit. I will never claim to have been the brightest kid. I had seen this game in EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly, and I was super hyped up to play this one. Man, hooking up all those cables and that power supply into that shitty little TV, it was so exciting back then. Anyway, the game is genre-defying even in this day and age, and that's what makes this game so special. It's so insanely unique to anything I've played, and in my painful, god-awful revisit to this hellscape, I still found myself captivated at just how off the wall this gem is. It's very difficult to outline the gameplay, but maybe describing what my blind playthrough was, along with my revisit, will start to give this game a shape for you to encapsulate what Immercenary is.
Listen to me. For your own sake, for your children's sake, and the sake of every generation to come, listen to me and behold your future. What you now know as virtual reality will in your future become a virtual Armageddon. Your children's children will become enslaved and forced to fight each other to the death unless you listen and do what I say. I know what must be done, but I am powerless to act on my own. We must have a warrior from your time, someone outside this world we call perfect. Here is the information you need. Analyze this data, and you will see that everything I say is true. You must send us a warrior to destroy perfect. Analyze the data. Everything is in the data.
kitchen sink! We've got to pull him out!
Are you ready, number 5?
This is all we got from 4.
We haven't determined what happened yet, but be careful in this area. This is where we lost contact with number 4. I think they're ready whenever you are. Good luck, number 5.
Waveform status.
Approaching synchronization now. Waveform sync. Check.
Interference patterns.
0.5 milliseconds. Forward. Check.
Ready to link.
Jump in 3, 2, 1.
You start things off right away with a stylized FMV sequence showing this very oddly dressed woman from the future, sending us a warning of what is to come. A virtual reality world is set to be created in a distant future of 2004, where something will go awry and no one that is logged into this world called perfect can leave. Or still, anyone that dies in this world is put into a state of shock, likely dying in the process. This concept has been done to death, surely, but back then, this was not quite as hack a plot as you would think. According to Wikipedia, the plot was inspired by the novel Snow Crash, something I surely have not read because I have never read a book in my life. Wasting like 0 time after gurneying this corpse away, you're set in a chair and thrust into the cyber world known as Perfect. You will then likely get your ass handed to you within seconds and be sent back, with a reduction of your stats to boot.
That was close, 5. You've got to keep moving in there.
You're on your own. We can only observe and advise.
Now you're set again. Here are your stats.
On my first playthrough, and I'd guess a fair amount of others, you'll start the game with so few resources, knowledge, and skill to progress that you will reach a literal endgame state where you become the 5th person to get fried in the gaming chair. Dying is nearly required in this game for sure, but only after you kill a specific enemy type and walk through the static images that they leave. You'll receive a small boost in 1 or more of your 3 stats by doing so, and lose said points by a small margin each and every time you are wiped out. You'll get an FMV cutscene going over some basics with each return to the lab, and a stat update to showcase all of your progress. So in a nutshell, kill the required enemy type more than you were killed in Perfect, and you'll continue to grow stronger. The core gameplay loop is deceptively simple in practice. Once you find your way to the Oasis, the only safe place in the game, you'll want to seek out Picassos and eliminate them. Picassos are just one step away from Goners, a nearly incomprehensible NPC that consists of literal polygons. Picassos are meant to symbolize a slightly less vague humanoid shape to Goners, and with each enemy type slowly resembling more human each time. Try and kill to possess any Picassos that you can without dying, and retreat to the Oasis. There is a lot of this kind of grind to the game, unfortunately, but one that feels satisfying once you manage to get rolling. Finding these enemies is an interesting challenge in itself. Using your live map feature, you can identify each enemy type with their corresponding symbol. The ones we are looking for here has this D symbol, and depending on which district you're around, the likelihood of these spawning nearby changes. You then get to wrestle with the horrendous controls to try to lock on to the enemy and spam the shit out of your primary fire. This game has a bit of battle royale elements mixed into the gameplay. The swaths of enemies tend to shoot at each other more than you, and you can use certain opportunities to sweep in and get an easier kill if you time your shots correctly. Speaking of shots, you have a very limited amount of these starting out, aka your offense stat. This powers the majority of your abilities and does not recharge on its own. For that, you need to visit the red posts scattered about and make yourself a huge target as you stand still and suck the juices out of this thing. It has a limited amount based off the eyeball looking thing here, and if it hits the bottom, you're all out of luck. Time to find the next one. Mercifully, if you can find one of these power-ups called the Anaballs, I might be out to lunch here, but I feel like this is an inside joke because I just don't see any correlation to the name and what it does. It gives you a huge temporary boost to offense, letting your shots run wild. There are a few other weapons you can grab. Ice, a single-use shot that freezes literally any enemy in the game in place for a few seconds. PEMS, an emergency button that transports you to the Oasis, or if you're battling a boss, to the energy post instantly. Switch Ya, the dumbest idea ever for any game, where you switch places with whomever you strike with it. Push Ya, it pushes ya. Ash Flay, a massive temporary boost to agility. Stun Ya, a single shot attack that makes an enemy shoot at random directions and generally stops aggroing for a time. Chafe, a shield that protects against most attacks for a while. OFR, a bizarre weapon that rains down random objects on the opponent when struck. You can also nab permanent weapon selections that cost additional offense to cast. Boomerang, a strange attack of sorts that returns the shots back at you if you miss, I think? Hex, one of the best weapons in the game, doing a large AoE blast at the cost of a lot of offense. And Nuke Ya, it nukes. Don't say the game didn't warn you. Anywho, nabbing these pool balls is critical to succeeding in this game, especially early on. Locating them can be tricky, since you have to venture a fair amount out of your comfort zone to reach a lot of those. Thankfully, some of these NPCs can give you the info you need to locate them. Let's listen in to what they have to say.
It was a diversion, a virtual vacation. They hooked you up to these electrodes, strapped you in, and away you went. It was the ultimate mind trip. But on my third trip in, when I tried to exit, nothing happened. That was, I don't know how long ago. And the world's been getting worse ever since then. Things don't work right. It's as if the whole operating system's slowly grinding to a halt. Rank of 11, the guardian of the pyramid. She is one of Perfect One's most favored. A stun gun.
What does it matter? Does it really matter?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
This is yet another interesting system unique to this game. There are no real dialogue choices to be made here, just who, what is, and where is the same thing. You'll have a random chance to meet one of the many bosses in Immercenary, showcasing some classic FMV player interaction. It was a staple of FMV design in the Wild West days to almost always berate the player, and this game is no exception.
Make it quick, buddy. I ain't got all day.
Taking a quick break from the mechanics, playing this game back then, and even a bit on my revisit, was a crazy draw to me. As simplistic as the core gameplay loop is, there is a sense of wonder that this game's atmosphere puts on that is irreplaceable. The sheer ambiguity of the gameplay, dying right out of the gate, and being scolded by this team of nerds to talking to a Gumby-looking motherfucker about hex bombs. This storm that rolls through, turning posts that heal your player to killing them. It's just such a strange experience that nothing out there that I've seen can replicate. It's somewhat of a roguelike, with its progression model allowing progress after death, albeit with a penalty. It's very random at times, both with the AI and with what you'll expect each time you enter and leave the garden. So when you've gotten the hang of killing Gumbies and have lowered your rank to a certain level, around 180, you're informed that you need to kill Medusa to advance. Why this is the case is not explained, as her rank is 11 and you're held to rank 180. Also, this is gatekeeping you advancing to the next tier of enemies regardless if you kill any of the other bosses in the world. Although you'll gain their energy and lower yourself by a whopping single rank by killing them. But long story short, you'll need to kill her in her temple to advance things in a reasonable time frame, so doing so is recommended. Once you dispose of her and absorb her goodness, you are able to start murking her next tier of enemies, the Torques. Torques are big, blue, and have the symbol T to symbolize where they are. Why are they called Torques?
I don't know.
At this point in the game, I had found Hex, which is invaluable. Once you have the resources to cast this, it has a powerful AoE blast, and it's just great for mobs. It's very powerful and borderline broken. I was able to retreat to the D-Oasis, find these mobs of Torques, blast them, and run back repeatedly. Here, the game starts to grind a bit. You need to seek out groups of this specific enemy type and shred them, lowering your rank bit by bit. As you progress, the pool of enemies does not really change much, meaning all of the Goners and Picassos are completely pointless to kill, but have no issue with harassing you with their own pointless volley. This sped up my grind quite a bit, but man is it a drag at this point. Other strategies work as well, like seeking out power-ups and diligently seeking out the red, yellow, and blue spires. Blue recharges defense and offense in equal, but at a divided measure, and yellow recharges defense only. Red, as mentioned before, charges your offense. You'll want to try to stay alive as long as possible using this method, but with each death comes a penalty to all of your stats, so I feel the former, more boring strategy will get you through the grind more effectively. As you progress, you'll continue to get a prompt that you'll need to kill the next boss before you're allowed to rank up anymore. You'll stop by the respective hovel, engage in a slap fight of generic shots, and absorb them to gain 1 level, some power, and the ability to continue your grind. The game is very, very random. Looking at the map, your symbols that you're currently seeking out will often switch out to weaker and stronger enemies, sometimes being completely surrounded by enemies that will murder you almost instantly. You want to make sure you have ample agility on hand to start flailing your shitty legs to book it out of there in some of these areas. Other times, you can't find your next enemy type, such as the Kilroy, a more shapely woman, Venus's, a very shapely woman, David's, this charcoal-looking dude, and so on. You can beat the majority of these bosses well before you reach these lowest ranks, and in fact, I beat my first boss at level 180. These bosses are Roberto. See, he's made out of ribbons, so Roberto. Tesla, a completely naked man.
You're new around here, huh? Let's get a couple things straight, right off. I'm the boss of the industrial district, and I intend to stay that way. If you know what's good for you, you remember that.
Oh, he's just wearing dark brown shorts. Was that the style in the 90s? I don't think that was the style in the 90s. I don't think it's ever been in style. Balkan. Just let him do the introduction.
It's Bunker Hill, D-Day, and Desert Storm all rolled into one. The biggest, baddest battleground in history. And this time, Vulcan is gonna win it all. He thinks he's the greatest warrior of all time, but he ain't met me yet.
He looks like a total badass. I wonder what his ability is. A rocket launcher? A giant warhammer? splitting himself into smaller copies of himself. Chameleon. She's a translucent gal. Yeah, not that exciting. It's hard to describe some of these characters. They are almost parodies of themselves. But I can continue to give it my best shot. Fly, the most nauseating ass clown of any boss in the history of video games. Am I being hyperbolic? Are you okay with flashing images? Are you sure? Because here's 5 seconds of this fight. Seriously, look away if this stuff bothers you. Here we go. Yeah, you fucking thought I was making this shit up. The entire fight was this shit. Anyway, Chance, a totally not stereotypical knucklehead with terrible wordy nonsense spewing out of his face hole.
Speak not ill of your neighbor, nor covet his position, for the perfect one will suffer neither greed nor ambition.
Loki, he can shapeshift into anything he wants, but he likes to look like this most of the time.
It is too dangerous. Don't even think about it. It will destroy us all.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, after all. And finally, Raven, the only ally you'll have in this game. She's the one that reached out to the past to try to put a stop to all of this madness. After destroying enough Torques, you move on to Kilroys, which bridge you to the Venuses and Davids. As mentioned, the grind continues to get lengthier as your rank increases, due to the pool of targets that allow you to rank up decreases. Finding the Nukia will break the game if you get your offense up high enough, as it's powerful enough to kill anything with a couple of shots at range. Long range. Speaking of breaking the game, on my revisit, I think I overdid my grinding technique, and I killed the bosses out of order, which fails to trigger the sequence where Raven reaches out to the player to set up the second to last battle. You're meant to kill Loki, rank 3, who is pretending to be Raven, who is rank 2. Raven warns you here which one she will be in the stadium.
You made it. Good. Now listen. You must go to the stadium. When you find me there, you're going to have to kill me. This is the only way you can gain the power you need to enter the Spire and defeat Perfect One. I won't be alone in the stadium. Loki will be there with me. He's the one who can assume any shape he chooses. Most often he chooses mine. You must kill him before killing me. If you crash me first, all will be lost. Remember this, I will be the one on the right. There's something else. Perfect One is not 1, but 3. Your choices will determine which of the 3 you will face.
So, did you notice that? Girls in their directions, am I right? Huh? Huh? Don't worry, so far 100% of this channel is male according to my analytics, so we're all safe here. She warns you to attack Loki and not her, who's on the right, but with her gesturing, you can tell she means on her right. So in other words, kill the one on the left, or right. Left? I don't even know anymore. You murder Loki in what is supposed to be a 3-way battle, but is over in seconds thanks to Nukia. Raven then offers herself to be pummeled and absorbed to become rank number 2. I mean, I'm rank 39 here, but I guess by crashing her, you gain the powers to defeat Perfect One, an ambiguously gendered final boss that has a haunting prologue to the final fight.
The system is breaking down much faster than I anticipated. Meet me in the D-Oasis as soon as possible and I will tell you what you need to know. There's no time now. I can't maintain this link much longer. Whatever you do, watch out for the beast Loki. He can assume any form he chooses. And most often he chooses mine.
We got it, but the transmission was cut from inside Perfect.
Okay, 5. When you get back in there, take a shot and head straight for the D-Oasis. Stats.
The images here are memorable. Trees will move out of your way, buildings rotate through textures, and the whole thing crashing down gives a bit of the Matrix vibes, well before the Wachowskis made history with their film. I wonder, did they get their inspiration from this game? No, they did not. The boss goes pop, and you save the world from the clutches of virtual reality, and everyone that was incapacitated from being inside the world is now free.
1753 hours. Perfect. Offline. Status. Complete system shutdown.
You did it, 5. You defeated Perfect.
Well done, 5. Well done indeed.
We were able to download over 90% of the operating system and the source code.
Excellent. Excellent.
You know, with the source code, we can actually track down the bug that caused everyone to initially get stuck inside the system.
Why would you do that?
Well, we just approach it from the other angle. We could actually make the perfect system more perfect. If you like, I can get started immediately on an analysis for the new system.
Including Raven here, showing off her beautiful 90s hairstyle. God damn. The graphics were quite excellent for 3DO standards, utilizing texture-mapped polygons against sprite-based graphics to create the depth needed to make things immersive. It gains points for the unique style of each district, with nothing looking too samey. There's not a lot to see here in this world, which is fine, considering the gameplay loop is so terribly restrictive anyway. The FMV acting here is about as good as you're gonna get from this tiny studio and a fledgling, insanely overpriced console. Other titles are far, far worse in this category, but that is a subjective argument depending on whether you enjoy this level of it's so bad it's good. The stylized FMVs IRL were, like most of the other elements of this game, an interesting choice, giving this game yet another mark for memorability. It's a word, look it up. I don't say being memorable, I say memorability. The sound, Say, do you like this sound? Well, good. You'll hear it over 1 million times in a single playthrough. I think there are other sounds in this game, but all I can hear now is this. The sound is standard compact disc fare. Back then, this stuff was all amazing because of the Red Book audio, regardless of the actual quality of the music tracks. Nowadays, it's serviceable. The standout tracks are on the menu and the final boss lead-up music. Oh, and of course, Balkan's theme. Yeah! I've mentioned the controls already, and I think Mandular did a fantastic read on this game in general, but describing the movement as a sled dog simulator is the best way possible to describe it. It's really not that bad once you get acclimated to it, and I like the open-ended means of equipping all of your weapons based off of your preferred means, and not having to use the main menu options to pick. Simply put whatever you want in any of the 3 face buttons and off you go, little champ. Immercenary is such a fantastic little bottle of lightning that features practically zero derivativeness. Virtually every element of the game is part of a unique concept that takes pride in its own creativity. Call it great or terrible, anything in between, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be remembered for its attempt to shatter a market that no one asked for, and to inspire indie developers to not be afraid to do things however they want for their games. You may not score big with your strange-ass project, but you'll be remembered for being truly original like this thing is. Anyone can make a first-person shooter nowadays, but what about one where you are thrown into a battle royale of pixels, randomly shooting at you to lower your rank, to kill a man made out of ribbons while collecting a pool ball that switches places with the enemy you shoot, to then retreat to talk to a man in a rubber suit? Yeah, it's Immercenary, and you shouldn't forget it. Was it worth my soul? No, I say I fucked up pretty good there. Thank you for watching my video. Watching something you hope to achieve come to life, such as gaining an actual audience for my inane ramblings, is pretty surreal. Glad you like some of this stuff. As before, here are the list of new subscribers that are public. Alright, we got quite a list here. 69 Productions, Adrian, Alessandro Monte, Alex Cranzi, Arthur Archetype, Atradashi, Austin, Bad Mind, Bo White, Ben Ward, Bill Frazier, Blake Carson, Bob, Bobadactyl, Brent Turnbridge, Bruno Frank, C. McBride, Chris Coleman, Colin Lauren, Colton Querty, Corey Ottakirk, Croatan S.A., Dakana, David Griffiths, Devies, Devlin, Devin Deinhold, Diode Melampry, DM, Doc Thor, Dom's Cards, Dr. Doom, Eduardo Nakamura, Edward Morissette, Everest Kale, Eric Francisco, S. Loke, Falco Mac, Florian Nice, Free Sheep, Gaianx Wolfen X, ouch, that's a rough one, Garcy Moore, Greg Vernay, Gregorz Mañana, Holistic Game Reviews, Hugh Manatee, Inferior Penguin, Inverted Burial, Yafule, Jacobification 7, Jamal Penrick, James Snipes, Jamie Hogg,
Jan Niemeczek, Jason
Egan, Jeremy Thornton, Jesse Taylor, John 21716, I know where you live, John Crazy Boy, Johnny Nile, Joseph Papp, Josh Mooney, Justin Leo, Justin Pitchford, Kostek 199276, Kind, Lamerman, Lana Nilsson, Lazy P 666, Life Hurts 7, Lowercase My, Lucas Glover, Lunatic Aztec, Mac, Madaman 6666, March of Flames 622, Mark Lakovitz, Michael Malo, Midnight Slime, Mike's Hole. I wonder how Mike's doing. Mitchell McClough, Motel Odessa, Montalino 1, Mr. Bunsen, Nabjack 27, Ned Fitzgerald, New Type 00, Nugs Manugs, Oliver Genev, Patrick Borelli, Paul Walker, you're back from the dead. Mom, have you seen my video yet, Mom? PH Clank, Reginald Din, Raven Levin, Razgriz, Reaper 212323, Reverend Shot, Riker's Beard, Roy Whiskler, Ryan Kettles, Sate Yanis, Salamander Lights, Sander Q, Sanny 87, Saturday Crunch, Setup Wizard, Shaky Dog, Sydney Chen, Simon Killay, Skydiving Cow, Solid Riza, Squiggly P, Synthesize Me, Steven, Tango Komodo, Tazig, Trentinaquin, Terra Spent, The Hordecast Live, The Creepler, Thomas Richardson, Tom Pruce 84, Triplic, Dark Eagle, surrounded by V's, Vibri .02, Vivian Draven, Was Middlex, Wayne Bristol, Wesley Fiera, Wolf of the Dead, Woogles' 2011, Yogurt Stand, Zuart. I tried way too hard with this one, but I'm going with nah. Thank you all. There is no chance in hell I can keep this up forever, but I really like doing the readouts because it's just neat. I like it. But it does give me a chance to use Excel, and I always jump at that opportunity because I am a nerd. Okay, see you, bye.